on Tig Smooth. My man Tig Smooth is in here. Tig, I want to be on Tig Smooth shit tomorrow.
So it's not based off him uplifting the culture and talking about shit that's positive. He don't have nothing else. So he understand what he doing, but he understand that that's the only way he gonna get some money is to keep perpetuating the same bullshit. So yeah, he gonna apologize with niggas in his face, and when he get called, he gonna say yeah, my bad, and go back to doing the shit until he do it again and get called out for it. So I'm trying to tell you, it's who he is. It's not. That's why it don't make no sense to have a conversation with that. A liar is gonna lie to your face. That's what liars do. They sit there, they tell you whatever you need to hear till they get away from you. So what I'm gonna talk to that man about?
So you feel like he's a cancer, right? And to the culture, and you feel like he needs to be canceled. You feel like he needs to be removed. How would you foresee going about that?
My thing is this: when you continue to expose a cancer, nobody really wants cancer, right? Sometimes people don't know that something is a cancer. They don't really pay attention. They ignore it, right? Because we are amazed and enthused with negativity and violence. That's just something especially when you're young, you're amazed, you feed into it, this and that. But if we don't, we have to retrain the mind, right? You gotta that's why you gotta constantly the same way he keep using his platform to promote bullshit. You gotta use your platform to combat the bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then people start looking at both sides and be like, you know what? That shit don't make sense. He's saying this shit he's saying makes more sense to me. And then slowly you start weaning people off bullshit. But if there's nothing to combat the bullshit, people just gonna keep going with the bullshit. That's what happens. People, the suckers is winning by default. You know, because most of the real dudes I know, like, I ain't getting on no Clubhouse. Like, it took me today. I seen Clubhouse all day. I don't get on no fucking Clubhouse and talk. That's not what I do. But I realized that if I don't do that, right,
Mm-hmm.
who's to really combat the narrative of the suckers that's on here? They come on here 1,000 hours and talk about bullshit and tell you why it makes sense for this and that and why the civilian and the snitch and why it's good and I'm just making me some money and they push this shit into your head and people are like, yeah, that's right. That's how I see it, right? And if it's nobody to combat that bullshit, if nobody that's get up here and articulate and intelligently explain to you why the shit they saying is false, then they automatically win. They just keep winning. And that's what happened. The suckers took over the internet because they couldn't come outside, right? Because outside you was being held accountable. You had to be face to face with other men. You had to be in the rooms with other men. Your character was exposed. The internet became a cesspool for suckers because you can sit on the internet and make threats to Pablo Escobar. A 5-year-old girl can sit there and tell you you're a sucker, Pablo. You can't do nothing. Just hide in your basement. So everybody is somebody on the internet, right? So the real dudes is like, man, in real life, I'm somebody. I get respect. I move accordingly. I got integrity. All the things that a man is supposed to possess. The real dudes is outside possessing those things. While the suckers took over the internet and they reaching millions of people at one time. While we still international and we got respect amongst everywhere we go, our message ain't reaching 5 or 6 million people at one time. So I started to realize that. Most of my dudes like, I don't get on the internet, I don't play with that shit. And I'm like, yo, the internet is raising our kids. These suckers on the internet giving false information to our babies. So how are we going to combat that if we don't go to the same platforms they got? If we just be silent and we just stay in our silos and deal with, we can't win. We
But that's what I'm
with
saying. That's the point right there, Mysonne. When you said, how do we win if we don't go on the same platforms that they got? Mysonne, the kids are not watching for you. The kids are watching for acts. So I honestly understand what you're saying when it comes down to not speaking to this nigga. But for the kids to hear your voice, you gotta talk to him.
But I don't have to talk to him. Because the bottom line is, what it is this. He going to keep saying the dumb shit about me. He going to continue to do that. And it's going to make a kid say, let me go listen and see what the nigga said. Let me pay attention to what he said. Let me listen.
Okay.
Right? And at some point, you start opening your ears. Because if you listen, the shit I'm saying is common sense. 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
Somehow, Ak has got niggas thinking it equals 3. And that shit is cool. But eventually the real is gonna overshadow the sucker shit. So I'm not at all worried about that part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not at all worried about I don't want to share a platform. I don't want to utilize my platform to share with you. Nope. Because I'm not even gonna give you an opportunity to mislead because these kids is impressionable. You talking about money and all that shit. Some of these babies might actually listen to that stupid shit. But you're not gonna be able to spread that narrative on my platform. You're not gonna be able to spread it in my face because I don't even want to talk to you about what? What do we gotta talk about? Keep
I
doing what you're
understand.
doing. I keep doing what I do.
And that's a definitely a good response to that, because you know, if he is constantly talking about you, the kids are eventually gonna make their way to you. I just know that it would happen faster. I guess I just care more so about his audience than him. You get what I'm
To
saying?
me, man, you know what it is, man? I'm the person you grow into. These niggas is the person you grow out of.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
that's what it is. You grow out of that mentality. That shit is short lived. But they just gotta know that it's another mentality. Because as you grow and you start moving, and you start realizing a nigga telling you to jump off the roof, and you just watch the niggas keep doing the same jump off the roof, you're gonna be like, this don't really make sense. Ain't nobody coming back after they jump off the roof.
You're telling the truth. I mean, that definitely makes sense. I'm just happy that you actually came in to speak that side, because I had no clue. My narrative was completely different. Like, I was never jacking everything that he said, but I'm like, I don't get it, because it just sounds like the narrative that he pushes is that it's just a bunch of niggas that ain't doing shit, that's trying to get clout off him, XYZ, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, it's not making sense. And the fact that you telling me that he's still doing the same shit that he just apologized for when niggas spoke to him, that's weird. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So I guess
Yo, can
you
I
right with that
speak?
aspect. What you said?
Can I speak real quick?
Sure, Mac.
Yo, my son, I think this stuff is a little bit conflicting to me. Maybe you can help me understand, because if you're not willing to speak to him, how do you hope to convert his audience? Because at the end of the day, there's no time. There's no time like that for people to really grow into you, because people are gonna keep getting lost if you're not willing to speak to him, to educate him from your own point of view. And if you, okay, here's the thing: you speaking to him, you bringing your audience, and he bringing his audience, and they hear you speak eloquently about everything you're saying in this room. They might be convicted. You might have time to win some souls from that department. So that's why I said the whole thing is kind of conflicting to me.
I understand your point of view, right? And usually when you communicate with somebody, right, it's for some level of understanding, right? And I think we both fully understand what it is that we represent, right? And maybe in your point of view, that maybe I should sit down with him and have a conversation. I don't really see the need to, but it would have to make sense for me because I don't want to go on his platform and talk about. I don't like. It would have to be a neutral place with people I respect on something that makes sense to me because I don't want to get into him yelling or somebody trying to over like I don't want to turn into some entertainment bullshit. Right? I don't it's not for me.
Hey, my
Maya,
son.
do you think he's gonna yell at you if y'all face to face though
No,
for a
He
I'm gonna
won't
say
even
conversation?
this.
talk to me. He's not gonna
Act
say
is not
anything.
gonna yell.
No,
Act
what's
like
not gonna happen in here? What's not gonna happen in here is everybody talking over each other or anything like that. My son is currently responding to Mac, so let Mac respond back. If somebody else wants to speak, hit me up. We can get a queue going. Thank you. Mac, did you hear what he said to you?
No, I didn't hear. I was moved down.
I personally just don't see for me, I said communication for me is to get an understanding. And I think that we both have an understanding of who and what it is that we represent. Right? It's like before countries go to war, there is a dialogue, right? And then once they realize that this country is just gonna do it, they just gonna do whatever they want to do. At this point, we just had war, right? When we just had war, I know numerous people that had the same conversation with Act. But when I first came out talking about Ak, I was like, yo, I didn't just say, yo, I hate you or this and that. I said, yo, you can't keep promoting this violent shit. You can't keep doing this. Like, it's detrimental. I told, when it started with 6ix9ine, I'm like, what you doing with 6ix9ine is you really hurting this young man. You promoting everything he doing. You going on there saying, these people shot at this people, this is going on. Like, you doing a step by step, and you putting this boy in jeopardy.